Hey there, Niyama here, and just really wanted to share something that was feeling real to me. Um, it's interesting. Hey, I'm not sure. I think I'm now out here and I'm live. I'm not really gonna worry myself too much about it. My name's Niyama Shang, and I am an angry black man. And it's really, I'm like, it's out there. It's out there. Um, Today I'm here sharing because I'm here to share, and really this entire element here, I'm going to let you know I'm being selfish here. This is this one's for me. What I've found through my journey of getting to know myself, my journey of choosing to stand up for something that is beyond me, and really just going through what I consider my purpose here on this earth. I found like I've had different uh, a path that I've kept following that's allowed me to show up for myself and for others on bigger and bigger stages. And the path is pretty it's pretty simple. The first step is that I figure it out and I see it. Um, and that might happen in any given moment, but it's my awareness of it. Then I find time and I start telling people about it in typically one-on-one conversations. It's usually the times where I get a chance to explore it more, to share it as part of a story, but really just dive in a lot more for me. Uh, then I bring it up in small groups and I share a little bit about it there in front of a few more people. And then eventually I'm like, okay, for me, this is what's been really useful. Um, set, Putting it out to the world, typically through a live video, so I can just be real, be present, be transparent and unedited. And so this one's for me. This one's for me. I, I'm falling over my words because what I'm most afraid of at times is being seen and being typecasted as an angry black male. And it wasn't until I was even 30 years old that I really even allowed myself to be considered a black male. So I'm going to let this thing unfold as it needs to. I actually am just sitting here. I want to just set some agreements to myself here, uh, because otherwise I don't know if I'll be able to if I will show up the way that's in alignment, fully in alignment with my intention. So my agreements to myself is that I'm not here to be helpful. I'm not even here to be witnessed. Like, I'm here to free myself of what I'm afraid will be found out and what keeps me from being out in the world. So I'm taking this time to really allow that to be. Uh, Another agreement I set with myself is to hide nothing and hold nothing back to the best of my ability. To be able to be like, I'm actively hoping that I'll find the parts of me, the parts that feel, the stories that feel dangerous to say, the parts of me that feel like it can't be out in the world, the parts of me that feel uh, that if you knew this about me, or if you saw me in this way, I think it's probably more if you saw me in this way, uh, that I'll go from being uh, an unexpected but accepted outlier in the world to just being a full-on rejected outcast. And I know for what's coming next here, like, this really needs to be just out of me and into the world. It's funny. It's like, the Avengers, and the whole Marvel universe has been meaningful to me, especially whenever there's an Avengers movie. There's something about that team atmosphere that gets me. And in one of them, the first one, they were asking the Hulk, how do you they were actually asking Bruce Banner, they're like, how do you do it? How do you keep the Hulk in check? Aren't you angry? Like, how do you keep the anger down, whatever happens? And uh, at one of the key turning points in the movie, he turns around and he's like, you want to know my secret? I'm always angry. And then he just like hulks out. He's like, I'm always angry. Uh, and I think that like that's the secret that I have. It's like you want to know. I think that's why I remember that scene so well. It's like you want to know my secret. They're like, Niyama, how can you be like so positive and like always have a smile on your face and like you always bring so much energy to the conversations and all that? Like, how do you do that? I'm like, you want to know my secret? I'm always angry. I'm also always afraid. That's something for another time. But uh, that's the truth. And it's really interesting because a few months ago, I came and I sat in this chair, and I shared the story my my name, the life, death, and rebirth of Niyama Shang. And I talked for however long I took, and someone, Eddie, reached out to me afterwards, and he said we talked for a while. It was a wonderful conversation, but he said in there, he said there was one word that you said in the entire time that you talked, and it showed up only once. But if you're willing to go down and explore that, like that's where your next level is. I was like, well, what was that word? And he said, it's anger. It's anger. You said angry one time, and it was wonderful because I got a chance to actually go ahead and explore what being angry meant for me. Because quite frankly, it just doesn't feel like a safe emotion. It's one of the least safe emotions for me. I don't feel safe if you think of me as an angry black man. I just don't. I think what happened with Amy Cooper kind of demonstrates why. It's like, well, people will call the cops because if I'm angry, then they might get scared or whatever it is. Like now, her situation was a little different, but it played out like a horror story for me, like one that I've been thinking about and like I've had in my mind for a while. Like this could happen, whether maliciously, with malicious intent, or just accidental. It's something that's been with me. So being labeled or thought of even for a second as an angry black man is not something that I choose to go by or I chose to go by. This is not a label I want to keep forever, but it's something that I want to make sure that I'm wearing now and moving from a place of shame or guilt or place I need to hide, and instead give myself the grace of being able to find what I need to find with it. I think it's hard for me to say like to find pride in it because it's been such a dirty thing. I mean, you have no idea how envious I am of people out there that are like, I'm so angry right now. I'm so angry. I'm like, you can say that like you don't even recognize, at least for me in my world, the way that I've constructed my world in my head. I'm like, you don't even recognize how awesome and amazing it is to just be able to toss out that you're angry and people are like, yeah, that makes sense, like, and then like, but not like almost associate it as a passion emotion of the moment versus I think a fear of mine is I'm like, I'm an angry black man. They're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You're black. You should be angry. Like that. Now you make sense to me, you know? Um, and that's been something I've been afraid of, something I've been avoiding. So when I started going down the path of just being open to anger, there are a couple different things that came up. I'll share some stories around that today, just because I feel like this is the time to. One of the things that came up for me was like I recognized I recognized my language and vocabulary. You see, I'm someone who has a strength in positivity. Like, and if you spend any time with me at all, you know that like I'm not impressed with good, and great barely gets me out of bed. Like, I'm looking for exceptional, excellent, awesome, amazing, stupendous, outstanding, extraordinary. Like the list goes on and on and on and on. My access to positive words uh, is tremendous. And then when I was having that conversation with Eddie, I realized that like when it came to anger, I had like two. I had two. I was like, either you're angry or you're mad. And then like I was like, or you can be frustrated. But like I didn't even have the vocabulary to know what is in the spectrum of anger. I spent some time beforehand just thinking about it because I've been evolving on this since for the last several months, And the words that come up now, like it includes pissed off, frustrated, angry, mad, um, rage, and fury. And like even right now, I'm just saying the words rage and fury, and like the idea of being like of expressing or being in rage or being furious, or to have someone associate me with being furious, just feels so dangerous. It feels so dangerous. It's the place where I haven't really allowed myself to be. And here goes the thing. I think that the thing for me is that, like, look, I live life. Uh, I'm not even gonna really like. Basically, I think the thing is, I have this story in my head that most people can't handle me as I am. Most people can't even handle me if I even just get frustrated. The once the moment my smile goes away and this is just straight, and I say it exactly as it is. I cut through, no bullshit. Just like, here goes the deal. I'm not impressed, or whatever it is that comes out of me. Like, that already gets people shrinking back, right? If I actually go on to, like, I'm frustrated, and I've been allowing myself to finally start to explore some of those emotions and to start seeing, like, okay, what is it like to be frustrated? I don't think you get how, like, envious I am of the people who can just be like, I'm so frustrated, and it's like accepted, and they're like, oh, I get you. I'm like, oh, how I wish I could do that. And now I'm starting to play in it. I'm trying to make sure I free again. I'm freeing myself here, um, of it. But it's interesting. It's interesting talking about this. It's interesting just like admitting how difficult it is to be anything in that spectrum for me. I can feel my teeth right now grating right here. And I'm laughing out of like discomfort. Like, oh crap, you're seeing me. This is exactly why I did this. And this is why I wanted to be here, but it is uncomfortable. My thing is, when I even start to get into frustrated and like an anger mode, like there's typically people who are trying to calm me down immediately. I'm like, the emotion is dismissed. I'm dismissed. I feel like I'm dismissed, right? And they are different things. But it is like the don't be angry, or like it's like look at this stuff, and people start trying to tell me to look at the bright side of things. Like, and I'm going to say that like that. People are trying to tell me to look at the bright side of things. I am the perpetual. I consider myself a realist because I'm able to see optimism and pessimism and how they can both exist simultaneously. And that pisses me off, right? As and the thing is, it's like I think I'm trying to see, why does it piss me off, right? I think it's because it's like, no, I want to be able to have this emotion that other people have. You don't like you can be with other people's anger, but with my anger, you can't be. And whether or not this is fully true, like, I'm gonna call myself, like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make a new agreement to myself. I'm gonna stop trying to protect anyone that might be watching this now or in the future. And I'm gonna stop trying to protect myself, because I am so aware of, like, if someone wanted to use this video against me in some point in the future, like to prove their point that, aha, look, he really is an angry black man, like, it can be done. And I think that's why I'm going live. That's why I'm putting this out here, where I'm like, look, I'll just out myself on this one, you know? Like, let's just move forward. So yeah, it's interesting. I had this is I can feel myself squirming in my chair, and I put down some notes to uh help me streamline my thoughts, and to really see what I wanted to say. And I thought that this would just be like a really quick thing where I would share, like, hey, I don't have access to the anger spectrum, or I'm just learning the words around it. And it ended up being, it's already calling out a lot for me. Um, uh, this is gonna be this is gonna be fun. Um, I think what feels right now is just to express some of the things in which I am angry about right now. I am angry with seeing white people fuel violence right now. Like, when I look, I have I spent the time really diving in when it came to the killing of George Floyd, and I found myself watching videos and trying to really just honor honor this man here. And I found like every time there was a posting on that said like violence erupts, or like some anything to do with like violence or riots. This was back in like this was on Friday or Saturday of last week, but anything to do with that, I was like, no, 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 you're missing the story. The story is not about the riots. Things have evolved since then, but I know that like I wanted to make sure I was really, really angry with seeing how the story was devolving into something that wasn't. It was about the protests, but not about the riots. It was about the protests, but not about the violence. And anyone that like I found myself getting really angry. I'm like, anyone that wants to make this about the violence really just doesn't get it. Really just doesn't get it. And it's like, and it's just not. It's just it doesn't sit well with me. And so it was actually this morning I was really spending some time just making sure that I was staying informed, being out here in Singapore, and also being in lockdown at the time of this. Like I feel very like maybe not isolated, but insulated. Um, and I have a good friend who can keep me informed. And I was watching some videos and just seeing both how white people were involved in that. And I'm like, why are you adding to the destruction here? Like it's not pure. It's not pure, and it's gonna it's detracting from what is actually taking place. And then just seeing some things that the police were doing, where I was like, you're also I'm like you're enticing and you're entrapping, and what is going on? Like why are you? I just I'm still in the place of processing all that. I can feel it right in the pit of my chest, right in the center there. So that's something that makes me angry at this moment. I'm also angry with Amy Cooper, and I led a what I called an open forum yesterday, where we had 30 plus people come together and share voice and witness lived experiences of racism from all over the world. And someone brought up this concept of like everyday racism, and like Amy Cooper to me, like that really represented it. Like choosing to weaponize the cops, uh, and just wielding her white privilege in that way. I'm not gonna lie. Like I get really angry when I see how people choose to wield their privilege. I am not impressed, and I'm just like, what are like you have all these things that you have access to. You don't have to even worry about like 90% of the things that other people are thinking of just to survive. And this is how you choose to wield your privilege. This is what you do with it. I kid you not. It's part of the reason why I became a coach. It's part of the reason why I have the platform. It's part of the reason why I speak up the way I do, because I am just so not impressed with people. And I'm just like, what are you doing? And this is the part that's going to be um, that feels really, really, really edgy to say. But I think that like when it comes to Amy, I think the other part of this, I can feel myself moving in my chair. I feel a lot of discomfort, but I'm gonna hide nothing, hold nothing back. Um, yeah, this feels like my outcast moment. um, but I think the reason that once there's once someone voiced like the actual I'm trying to go around it. This is what I'm gonna say. I am most afraid, now this is not angry, but I'm most afraid of white women in America. They freak me out, generally speaking. And that's typically where the fear comes in. And the reason for that on a broad scale here is because I am not I feel that they have the best, basically what happened with Amy Cooper, like not to necessarily do it in a weaponized and malicious way with intent, but to protect themselves. Uh, and in that protection, it ends up really becoming a life or death situation for me. Either I die because the police show up, or I die because my livelihood is done and I get put in jail or whatever it is, and my entire trajectory of my life goes away and dissipates. And so it's really uncomfortable for me to say that, and I think that the point of this year is for me to be able to free myself of some of the things that I've been hiding and carrying. But like there's this element of like, man, if any person that I walk to, especially if they're a white person, I'm like, if they haven't done their work, quote unquote, done the work, if they haven't, like, if they don't know who they are, if they haven't explored racism for themselves, if they haven't explored how they are racist, if they haven't explored the individual things that they do that might make them feel safe or not safe, if they tend to try and say like I'm colorblind or there's like I only see things in this way and I'm just like be positive, oh my goodness, like I'm like, I don't know if I can trust you because I don't know if you trust you. I don't know if you know yourself enough yet. And it's something different. I'll be honest here. Like why white woman versus white man. I was thinking about this beforehand, and I'm like, I feel like with white men, it's a little bit more on the surface, you know. Like if they don't if you don't like you, like you're gonna know. But I can see someone like give me a smile and at the same time like internally be shaken or like the flood of emotions can go from like I'm like and look, I'm catching myself as I do this here because I'm not trying to overly generalize, but I will say that like in terms of like this is my bias, right? This is my stereotype. I'm not going to say that I'm not racist. I think that is like I don't think that's a true statement for any person like that lives. I think we all have our version of racism, you know. And I don't think I think that if I can't really call that out for myself here, I don't feel like I will be in integrity with the work that I do. Um, and so I'll call that out. And I was in a conversation with a really good friend of mine who I've known for years, and I was telling her how much safer I felt in conversation because she was telling me about the ways that she takes care of herself. Like it showed me that like she had done the work so that if I that she would have the space, the mindfulness. That's I think that's actually the right word. The mindfulness to pause and be with me as an individual and see me as an individual in any situation as a versus taking action to protect herself that might actually put me in danger. So I didn't. That wasn't all that much fun to say, but I think if I didn't say that, I wouldn't be I wouldn't be real, and I don't think I would be free. And it's not necessarily I feel the freedom in this moment, but it is something that I'm like, okay, let me make sure that if I'm going to be out there, it's just out there. So I talked earlier about things that I'm angry about right now. I gotta say, and I don't know if this falls in the anger spectrum at all, but like there's also part of me that is jealous. Like I am jealous that, and it's not envious. Like I don't. It's not like I want to do this. But it's like you can be that free, like to see white men standing on top of department stores with armed with guns and rifles. I'm like, that kind of freedom exists in America, you know, like I'm jealous of that. And I said earlier, like I'm jealous of people who can be angry without what I would consider repercussion. It's like, oh, you can just be angry and like that's just a passing state as opposed to like an actual identifier of you. And right now, as I'm talking about this, I'm like, I know that I started to sound like I am, as if that's like my identity, and it's not. It's not my identity. I don't identify as an angry black man, and I think I need to make sure I say that for me here. But it's part of like if I want to be angry, if I want to be a person who is sometimes angry, like I want that space, and I haven't been giving it to myself for fear of how others will treat me, because at the end of the day I feel unsafe with a lot of people. And it's really interesting because, well, I'm not like, I think as we continue, this will be whatever it is. And a part of me also, I wanted to spend some time right now just thinking, just sharing a bit about like my exploration of being angry. Um, I I remember the first time where I felt where like I'll just do this. So I am a part of uh, I'm a part of a group of coaches, and a few times a year, I'll go to the U.S. to get really what I consider my leadership training. And when I attend there, there's part of the reason why I love to be in there is because I see insights about myself that I had no clue existed. It's where I first figured out that I have a thing about being too much. It's where it's a place I went to, and I recognized that I was using Nemo um, as a mask, as opposed to like really allowing who I am to come through. Like I keep going back to this world, and it's Rich Lipton's world. I keep going back there because I get honestly, it's a place where if I'm really allowing myself, I can get triggered, and I can learn, and I can be with people who can be with me as I'm being triggered. And that actually feels it's one of the number one reasons I love to go back there, because I can continue to explore myself, and it's a place where I feel like people can handle me being angry. And I remember going out one day to get some breakfast with two people from the community, and in the conversation, I felt I was explaining myself, and there was a disconnect going on. I wasn't being understood, and it turns out, and I know this about me now, but it turns out that like not being understood is something that just really makes me mad. And I think it's because like I think it's because I have had to develop the skill of understanding other people and translating myself into their world all the time. And it pisses me off. I think that's the right word. It pisses me off when I don't feel people are taking the time to actually understand what I am trying to say. I'm like, it shows up in a lot of different ways, but I'm like, we're like, I can talk to anyone about anything, and if I don't know it, I'll show curiosity as opposed to shutting down. Now, this person in the breakfast, they were being curious, but I was new to just how frustrated and how angry I was feeling with not being understood. And so there was something that happened, and I don't know why this is it, but I left the breakfast, and I went to our intensive experience, and people were gathering before the doors opened, and I I found someone who was a black woman, and she asked how I was doing, and I said I'm feeling angry right now, and I was really happy because I was like, that's true. Like I was angry, but I was happy. That's very true. Because I'm like, I'm feeling it. Like I'm feeling angry. Like usually I've cut myself off from any emotion that is not joy, really, or excitement, right? I'm like, but I'm feeling angry, you know? And that person then responded to me. She's like, oh, you need to get good with your anger. Like she started giving me like some advice on how to be with it. Uh, and then I got frustrated that I was like, no, that's not what I want. I just want to I want to be seen in my anger. I want to be seen and just be like treated as like, oh, okay. Like I just really, it's helpful at times. There's people like, oh, okay, it's not a big deal. Like we don't need to change it. We don't need to do anything. We just, you are entitled to how you are feeling. Um, it was really interesting because uh, actually, what I don't want you to know is that um, I can't remember the exact words, but I remember the sensation. I remember this. There was something came up, and I think she said something along the lines of uh, like you shouldn't care what other people think. And my response back, and I can feel in this moment, is like I don't give a fuck what anyone else thinks, right? And I stormed off. I made it about like 10 steps and I was like, oh, clearly I do. Clearly I care because, like that was a response that came out. Um, but it was, I remember that. And I looked her right in the face and I said that. And I was like, and we didn't talk for the remaining 4 days. And at the very end of it, um, we, we made it a point to find each other. I think she found me. Um, I think she found me and we went and we just discussed and we cleared the air and all this. She's an absolutely fantastic and wonderful woman. And like I'm glad that we're friends now. We've continued our conversations and gone on from there. But she caught me like I was she was right. She's like, oh, I need to get good with my anger. Um, and I don't know what I was, but I remember that experience and like wanting to just be in the anger of it all. And it's really that felt like it was a really interesting that weekend in itself was also a really interesting weekend because it was also the weekend that I received the best acknowledgement that I've ever gotten. Um, and the acknowledgement was phrased in such a way that I could really hear it. You see, I was there and um, I believe it was the same weekend. I'm going to say it was. Um, but I was there and I was contributing as as part of the source team and part of the leadership team to support the event. And at some point, I gave an acknowledgement to the person who was leading everything, and afterwards, someone acknowledged me for the for a number of different things. But I'll like it's not about the words of the acknowledgement that's important. It's it's the way that she said it, and she gave it to me. She brought the acknowledgement. She broke it down into three different pieces, and I'm trying right now just to like sink back into exactly what it was. But there was an acknowledgement for the actual words and just the actual the way that the impact of those words so of my words. So basically, let's say it this way: it was an acknowledgement for my own specific actions. Um, and then she she called out, and this was so wonderful. She called out. She's like, I also want to acknowledge you as a really powerful leader and how you showed up and throughout this experience, right? And so she acknowledged me for the way I was showing up in that space. And if you don't know this about me, I tend to be in spaces that are predominantly white, and I'm one of the few or one of the only black people in there, or people of color overall. I think I look out for those spaces honestly because I think there's a part of me that just feels like I know how to navigate this, and uh, I'm getting better with this now. But I'm typically afraid that like black people will figure out that I'm not actually black, or like I don't have the black card, or I don't play it, like whatever it is. I have this thing in my mind like there's a black code, and I don't necessarily know it. I'll fail the secret handshake. So it turns out that others feel this way too. It's been really interesting as I've been more open and vocal about that. But the way that she acknowledged me was like one, like I acknowledge like your actions. Two, I acknowledge you and the way that you showed up in this space, and just like regardless of the space, the way that you were showing up. And then she made the third one, and I am so appreciative of her to this day. She's like, now there's a third acknowledgement here, and I want to acknowledge you for being a black man in this space and choosing to lead in the way that you did. And that's separate from like you as an individual. I just want to also call out that you doing that in this space also means something. And I want to acknowledge you for that. And it was the best acknowledgement I've ever gotten. Just she was just super intentional about it. And she didn't it wasn't it the thing about it is that it wasn't laced with like an undercurrent of like for someone like you, you've done well. I don't know how else to describe it. When people say to me, "You're really articulate," I'm like, "Yeah, I went to Cornell. I like I know this, but like I know that you're not saying I'm articulate. It's almost like a surprise to you. Like, oh wow, you were able to articulate that well. Like, and it's not they may not know that they're doing it, but that's where it comes out, right? And I really, really, I'm appreciative of Monique for just really taking the time to break it down into a way that I could hear it, and we talked about it later, but like also into an order that I can actually take it all in. Because if she had led with that, I would have felt like you don't see me, you see this skin that I'm in, but you don't see me. And she made it clear that she saw me, and she saw me in the environment that I was in, and it was the best acknowledgement I've ever received. It's been interesting right now because I've been over the past few years I've been allowing myself to speak more openly and allow myself to be seen more in a more visible manner, not just from a standpoint of like Facebook lives or posts and such. Like I've been doing this kind of stuff since 2014, 2015. It's not about the scale for me. It's like, can you actually see me? Will you still accept me if I'm fully being me? If I'm fully out there, not just the good parts, not just the parts that make you feel good or make you feel like you're energized or whatever it is, or even make you feel safe. But you get to see all of me. And I often hear from people that like they want to know my story. And one of the things I've found is that uh, I can be incredibly open and transparent and honest and vulnerable in the moment with what's happening in the moment. I'll come on and share like this is what's taking place within me, but I'm not as good about sharing some of the stories as to what got me here. And I think sometimes like it causes a disconnect for people because they don't they hear me talking about things like making change or being a trailblazer, and like now is the time to step up. Now is like they hear me encouraging and championing people for change, but they don't see like why me or my story that's in it. And so I wanted to spend some time now just sharing a couple different stories that came to mind to me um, around my experience as two things, like just some experiences as a black man, and also like to my journey to this conversation right now. This not a conversation, not in the same lens, but this expression right now because like this was I would not have done this years ago, and I want to make sure I honor the stories and the journey of that it's taken me to get to this place, knowing that there will be a time in the future where I'm using my anger and rage and fury for good on the national stage towards the biggest, most challenging, most complex problems that we have as humans. Actually, I don't want to be working on the most complex problems. I'm going to work on the most complex possibilities that we have as humans, and even the simplest possibilities that we have as our potential of the future. Like that's where I'm spending my time. That's where I want to make sure I'm at. And sometimes I might forget to share my story. And as time goes on, my story might also become um, it's not that I'm going to be less connected to it, but there are new stories that are happening. My life is consistently evolving, and I want to make sure that I don't lose that right now. So um, there's something about the event that I had the other day, the open forum, where people got to express themselves. Someone used the phrase "everyday racism," and it got me thinking. It got me thinking about like overt racism and covert racism. Because I think there's a covert racism that takes place in a number of different ways, and sometimes where it's explicit and it's implicit. It's it's present even if it's not trying to be there. And it got me thinking of a few different times where to me, like now they're funny stories, but it was really interesting. Yeah, it just felt appropriate to bring up now. Um, the first one. So I've been mistaken. I lived in New York City for almost a decade, and was an avid fan of the nightlife, and I had been I've been mistaken a few times as a bouncer of the nightclub. And there's one instance in particular that just like really tickles me right now. But it was me and another friend, and we were waiting in line to get into a club in the Lower East Side. It's like a bar there, and there was a line outside, and it was cold. So I remember just like standing out and having my arms like crossed just to like stay warm, and then I uncrossed it. And my friend and I were like we weren't the next in line, but we were like the third to next in line to get in. And all of a sudden, these like these two young ladies came up, and then just like walked straight to me, and it's like, "Hey, can we get in?" And it took me like a second to realize that they thought I was the bouncer. And I remember looking at them and just looking them straight in the eye, and then turning my attention to the whole line that was behind them, and just look at them like, I'm sorry, do you not see this line here? Do you think that there's do you think there's any reason why I should let you in before I let any one of those other people in line? And they were flabbergasted and went to the back of the line. And I thought that was actually I thought it was funny just in the matter. Me and my friend were laughing because he's seen me a few times get mistaken for the bouncer, and typically I'm like, oh no, it's not me. You have to talk to that person. I'm just like, hey. But this time I actually leaned into it and played, and it's a memory that still puts a smile on my face now. There's another time that where that happened, and this again goes to like not the overt racism, but the covert racism, right? And the everyday racism. This is the stuff that like, yes, I do think that people leave feeling bad. So I'm not like it's not like I can see myself. I'm breaking my own agreement to myself. I'm trying to protect you here. Uh, Let me let that go. The second story that really came to mind here was a wedding I attended a few years ago, and I was there with my wife, and she was looking beautiful and all dressed up, and I was looking dapper and all dressed up, and we're at this wedding, and then someone came and like asked me a question as though I was on the wait staff at the wedding, and I remember just being like other than like being a person of color, I don't even know if that was it. Like, I'm like, I mean, I have to assume that was it because I'm like, they didn't just go to anyone here at this wedding. But I'm like, I'm like, everyone, there's a uniform, and I am clearly not wearing that uniform. Like, you're not even trying. You're not even like baseline minimal level of trying would be to notice the uniform, like, so, that moment happened in the past, but that also got me thinking. And then there's a story that I don't share all that often, but it's meaningful for me. It was the last time my friends visited me at my parents' place. I grew up in a town called Pennsauken, which is still just outside of Camden, New Jersey. Um, and growing up, I love Pennsauken because like it was really like multicultural. I had black friends, Hispanic friends, Asian friends, and like it was a really wonderful place to grow up from that perspective. My parents moved further south at a certain point, and when they did, my friends drove up to come and pick me up. I didn't have a car, a working car at the time, uh, and so I had my friends come up there, and there were four of them all together. Um, a Hispanic man, two and like I'm saying this a little bit of envy, but two tall black guys, and my white friend, and normally like, well, I'm doing it again. I'm like trying to protect you and while protecting myself. Like, no, but like, check this out. Let me just tell the story. Uh, Hispanic man, two tall black guys, and my white woman friend, and we're all just like, they came up there to come pick me up so we can all go have a good night together. And we get in the car, like, they come to my house, and my parents, like, we live in this like development area, so they came up the driveway, they went into our house, and they spent about like 15 minutes in there, hung out with my parents, used the restroom, I gave them some water, and then we all left. We got back into the car, and then we were driving out of the development complex. I don't know if it's a complex, but it's like, just like, it's not gated, but it would be like, it's like that development community. Um, and we were about a block and a half away, still within like the community element off the main road. Like, it was clearly like still part uh, of that community, when a cop comes, turns on his lights, and pulls us over. And thankfully, like, everyone in that car was safe, we were good, like there was nothing that was happening. But it was like, before, like, once the cops ended up leaving, they said we got a call from a neighbor that there were some suspicious people that were entering the house. I'm like, they came in, they broke bread with me, they used like the bathroom, they went, like, they got water, and we all left together. Like, WTF? And my boy who was driving just turned around to me. He's like, I was Nemo at the time. He's like, Nemo, I love you, man, but there's no way that I'm coming back out here to like to ever like pick you up again. Like, yeah, it's just not worth it, right? It's not worth, like, to be like, to me, that like being a block and a half away from my house is still my home. So to be able to not even be able to leave the community without before getting pulled over, um, that's really struck, like, it's a story that I don't often tell, but it's something that sits with me. It's something that sits with me. And it's interesting because I often practice, and I think I've shared this. I often practice, like, what would I say if a cop pulled me over? Like, it's like part of it's. I see it, I think it, and I'm like, what do I yell first? Like, how do I let them know that I'm a good that I'm not. This is where, like, having like the label of being black was something I was afraid of for so long. It's like that, like, oh no, I'm one of the good ones, and as if that would even matter. Um, but it's just really interesting to see just like when this can happen, and just how it might take place. Now, that was years ago, but I still haven't forgotten that incident. I didn't even get to leave my own home before being pulled over. So I'm feeling myself coming to a place where I'm like, all right, I've said the things that feel dangerous. I put that out first and foremost. Um, and now I want to, like, share the story of, it's almost like my journey of becoming a black man, or being willing to be a black man. And so I think it starts like this. We'll see how it goes. I haven't really told this story before. Um, I think, like, the underlying element here is that from a very young age, I came to the conclusion that if people see me as black, that it will limit me. It will limit my growth. It will limit my opportunities. I won't be included, and people will treat me in a way where I'm, outcasted. Uh, and so there was a part of me that just really rejected, really being seen in that light, especially seen with that label. And a few months ago, I was at home and I pulled out my high school yearbook, and I was reading, looking through the yearbook, reading people's comments to me, and looking through the pictures there. And I think, and look, this is me. This is like this is so me. I'm like, I think I had a goal at that time of being in as many pictures as possible, like to be the person with the most pictures, picture references at the end of the year. I think there was like 13 or 14 different pictures with me in it, from marching band to homecoming court, and this is the thing that got me. I think I was in the Latin America club and the Asian American club. But I was notably not in the African American club. And it was really interesting to me when I was looking back at it. I'm like, this has been a recurring story for me for years, and it at least started back in high school. And then when I graduated high school, I went to college. And when I was in college, I have this memory of just walking down Ho Plaza, which was the central part of the campus. And I remember this was like my freshman year, and someone was asking me a question, and they said, "Hey, do you live in Uj?" Now, Uj is short for Ujama or Ujama, which was one of the program houses that was specifically kind of like not designated, but like let's just use designated for this purpose, for people of color, right? Or at least people of color like tended to live there. I don't like I'm not framing this exactly right, but I think you know what I'm saying. Like it was a program house that really I'm gonna want to find the right words to say it. For now, give me the grace of knowing where I'm coming from on this, and let's move forward. Um, and so it was predominantly black people there. I think I only knew of one white person that was there, and that was it. Um, and so someone came up and they're like, "Oh, like, are you living in Oods? Like, why aren't you?" And I said, "No, I'm not." And they're like, "Why aren't you?" And I remember my response to them, uh, and my response was just, "This is the first time that I'm able to make adult decisions, and with this, like, I am not going to start making these decisions by self-segregating. I have to learn how to be able to be successful in like the broader community." And I took it at that and moved forward. And that to me, like I there was a lot of things that I said during my years in college, and I'm like I still don't know why that one stuck with me so much, but it feels important. It feels like it's part of the journey. And so that was it. Like I'm like, don't associate me with being black. Don't assume that I'll be black. And like I'm here to learn how to be with all of y'all, right? I'm here to learn how to be with everyone else. So I was and I think it's probably the fairest way to say it. I was actively not black, right? Or actively like yeah, and I I don't know if there's a better way of putting it, but I was actively not black. Um, and that was how I operated. I was Nemo. I was Nemo at the time, and that's how I wanted to be seen. And and I was really successful with it. I was able to create whatever I needed to create around that persona, and to be me and express however I felt like at that time. The next part of my journey, I feel like the next leg of my journey, the thing that strikes me is when I started to work for a big four consultant company. And that they had a really great program of anytime you were promoted, they took you for anywhere between 4 and 7 days to your own leadership, like your own training program. So I was there for Analyst School, which lasted for the span of a week. And at some point during Analyst School, they had a diversity dinner. And I remember at the time I actually had I'd been making some a group of friends who were all people of color, and we're like, we're gonna go to this diversity dinner. So we went, And I remember I remember sitting down at the table and looking around the rest of the room. And the two things I noticed was that like all the people sitting in all the analysts that were there were people of color, and most of the leaders that were there were not people of color. And I remember thinking to myself, um, well, where's everyone else? Where are the other analysts right now? Like, what's happening for them? What are they doing? What's going on? Um, and something in my mind said like, okay, like if you're considered to be related to diversity, you're going to be put aside in your own different room. That's just like the story that I made up around it. And so for the most part, I tried to like not be associated with that again when it came to work. I do note that I got a chance to do recruiting, and in recruiting this, and I'll be honest about this here because I got to call my. If I'm really going to be free, I have to say everything here. In recruiting, it was actually a place where I was asked to come in and support the teams that were doing like from a diversity perspective, and so I was able to lend my efforts toward bringing in more diverse professionals into that to that organization. So there were times where, and I got to call it like, there are times where I was like, I'm staying away from it, and there are other times where I was like, oh, this is actually a place I can add value and a path that I can make sure I am actually able to contribute. And I say that like I can actually participate, right? So in a sense, to me, in this moment, what I'm talking around is that it felt it felt like a tool that I yielded, as opposed to like fully being interested, fully doing it from like a truly altruistic or like purpose driven manner, right? I think that there was alignment, but I also knew that I really wanted to be involved in recruiting, and this was a way that I could do it, all right? So I'm going to call that out there because I think that's also just part of the truth, and it led to some really great experiences for me. So after my time in the consulting company, I went to go work at a tech company, doing a completely different job. And like, uh, I'm aware right now of all of the unemployment that's in the U.S. and I feel myself wanting to make myself available to help anyone that is making a transition because I made a massive career change, and I'm down to help out from there. And what so with this move to the tech company, it was great. I had 2 years of bliss there. Um, but the moments, it's like I see like these like this flashes, like a montage of my life of like this is when you're confronted with it. How did you respond? So while I was in this tech company, um, I, someone came up to me one day and we were having this wonderful conversation. And she's like, "Hey, I have to go, but I'll see you at the happy hour later." I'm like, "The happy hour?" She's like, "Yeah, the Black Alliance. I'll see you at the Black Alliance happy hour." And I remember saying like, "Oh no, no!" I like it was like I wasn't just like a thought; it was like explicit. Oh no, no, no! Like I don't do any of that stuff. I am not getting associated with that. Again, like in my mind, it's like if you have this label of being black or from seen that way, then I'm going to be limited, right? I'm like the opportunities are not available for black people. That's not where you want to be. Um, and so, and I was like, why would you just assume that because I'm black, I'm going to be there, right? Um, and as I want to say as luck would have it, but it was more than that. I think as like divine providence would have it, my role later at that organization evolved to one that supported the diversity and inclusion initiatives, specifically the leaders of the affinity groups in the organization. So the leaders of the Black Alliance, the leader of the Latino Alliance, so on and so forth, to help them be successful in serving the employees that were members of their groups. So here I am saying like, don't associate me with that with me at all. And then here I am being called to do work related to diversity initiatives. And I actually think that was a major turning point for me because I was there to support, and part of that involved me getting to know. them and how they were within the groups, and helped me. I spent time attending meetings. I spent time talking to different leaders. I spent time voicing my opinions, and it was a place where I first started getting comfortable voicing some of my thoughts. Um, and getting pushback from people. In fact, I remember sharing with someone like my thoughts on just like diversity in the workplace, and I'm like, here goes the thing, like we're trying to get diversity, but the way that we do is that we split everyone up, right? Or like, let's all be diverse. Let's find a way to like promote diversity, and so you go over here, you go over here, you go over here. It's like the most backwards process to me. I'm like, I don't understand how that comes to life. How you're like, we're all in this together, so go your separate ways. It just and I was explaining to him about explaining one person in particular about the Ujima and self segregation story. Cause I'm like why would you choose to be a part of this type of organization? And he said something to me that stuck with me. And he's like, well, I grew up in San Antonio, Texas, and where I was growing up, it was predominantly Hispanic people. I didn't actually go to a place where I wasn't the majority until I hit college, and that was actually a culture shock for me, to be in a place where I wasn't the majority. And so for me, like, it is really great to have a place where I can just come back to, and most people are like me. There's like the contexts are easy, so on and so forth. And I got it for the first time. I understood why, like, okay, why people chose to live in Ujima. There's a lot of change that's going around. Like, well, there's a lot of different reasons why, but I could see why people would choose that for the first time, right? And it actually really, it evolved the way that I even look at diversity and inclusion. Like, I'm less, you'll find with me, I'm less interested in diversity. I think that diversity is a natural occurrence if you're able to create inclusive elements where in spaces where people belong. They will continue to invite people like them and not like them to be a part of the discussion. But if you're able to create inclusion first, then diversity will naturally follow. But I also saw, like, for the first time, like, why having each of these different silos could be individually important. But it's also part of the reason why you'll hear me like my story is like, how do I say this? You'll hear me refer to trailblazers and outliers, and I don't really say underrepresented groups, or, you know, I'm here to help minorities. Like, it's not, it 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 doesn't, that doesn't fully represent what it is that I'm about. Like, I am looking for. I get really excited to help people on dimensions that go beyond the first order of, I think there's like the first order of identity, you know, and this, but I now see why there's some areas where each of them are handled independently. I think as like, oh, I thought this was the end, but I don't know if it is. What I what I realized though was, and there was a few months before I came out to Singapore. Um, I was 30 years old, and I was supporting the Black Alliance. They had, during Black History Month, and they had put on a video, and the video was they invited everyone to come and watch it. And the video was called "White Like Me." I actually really, especially now, I'm seeing a lot of different book recommendations come out. Like, people are talking about white fragility as one. There's another book that I can see has like a teal cover with white lettering, but that's another book that's like circulating right now at this time. For me, there was an awakening that took place when I watched this movie called White Like Me that was put on by the Black Alliance, and the video was actually a documentary organized and narrated by a white man speaking about, and really with educating and speaking to other white men about the systemic oppression and institutionalized racism within the U.S. And it was the video was constructed in a way to say like, look, it is real. Like we might say, here goes times where they say everyone has a fair shot, and here goes how it actually got implemented. You know, here goes the propaganda, here goes the marketing, here goes what they said on the outside, but what was really taking place was this. And he talked like, so you talked about like the GI Bill, for example. There's a number of different like, examples that were like, this is what it looks like on the surface, where it's like, well, everyone had a shot, you just blew it. It's like, no, actually, they like, it was systematically designed to not give everyone that same opportunity. And what it's not lost on me, and it's something I feel like I need to call out when I share this story. It's not lost on me that like, it took a white man trying to talk to other white men before me, before I like really accepted and saw the racism that was there. My parents have been telling me it for years. I'd seen it all over TV. I'd seen it in like, I mean, it's hard to ignore, like being a black person, but I was really good at it. I had 3 decades of it underneath my belt. And that movie was a major turning point for me. I think there was all these things that were leading up to it, but that movie was a major turning point for me. And it was in that moment where I realized that like, oh, two things. Like, I'm really not supposed to be here. Like, I thought of myself as an outlier. We had done someone had actually gone by and counted up the number of black people that were in that organization. It turns out there was 18 out of 1,100 people who were black that were out of the entire organization. And I had recently found out that my time doing the actuarial work, that only 2 to 3% of all actuaries in America were African American. Like pretty much the same exact statistic at the time when it came to tech was in place as well. So 2 to 3% of all people in tech were African American in America at that time. And I now consider myself part of the 2 to 3% club, because time and time and time and time again, I happen to be one of the only ones there. And it just really, it became something that became important to me to realize and to say like, wait, if I am one of the only ones here, if I'm in this 2 to 3% club, what am I going to do about it? And this came from my experience volunteering with the youth leadership program, Hobie. That question, like, okay, now that you know this, what are you going to do about it? And it's been a big reason why I have gone on my journey to continue showing up, and why, like, when I left that tech company, I had gotten exposed to a number of different types of experiences, events, like ways of bringing people together to discuss really difficult topics, to discuss not just like difficult topics between like managers, but difficult topics between humans within an organization, within humans in life. It's actually where the idea of the open forum that I led yesterday came from. And my thing was, wait, we're doing these wonderful things like allyship training, not just asking be an ally, but like, how do you actually train people to do it? And like, just bringing in really wonderful speakers to talk about it, to give us a chance to actually have the experience and to play around and to fumble and to trip over ourselves as we were trying to navigate bias and racism and like different ways that it shows up for us as people who are socially conscious, but still trying to figure out how to navigate it. And it became my thing that I wanted to bring that out into like beyond the corporate walls, right? Because I was like, well, what will happen? And we've seen it where it's like, well, I would want to say something, but my boss is in the room, or I don't know how that's going to impact me in if someone hears it, and maybe I want to move to that team or something like that. So it's been a thing for me to be able to say, okay, there's some things that I learned, there's some really great experiences that I had while out and a part of this tech company's like diversity and inclusion initiatives. How can I bring that out into the world right now? So I'm going to end this here, I feel, with where I am right now. And right now, I am living as a black man in Singapore, and it is really interesting. It is really interesting because the experiences that I have here are completely different than that in the US. I feel really fortunate because it's like I found out I became a black man in February of 2017, and I went to a country where there weren't that many black people. I don't know what the percentage is out here. I've never taken the time to find it, but you know, there was also an element of like there's an element of safety out here for me that I was able to explore within being a part of the black community. I think the reason for it was that like, well, these were, oh, this feels edgy. I like to put out loud, but these were black people in the black community who like had made a decision to come out here, right? They had made a decision to leave like their normal environments and had chosen to come out to live abroad. And there was something in that distinction of like, oh, they've left. There might be something for me to have another level of connection because I can't really connect with them on being black. Like I just don't feel black enough. And what was really there were a few moments in my experience out here. It's been really interesting. It's been real. I realize I never really talk about this, and I'm just it's coming to me right now. Just how all this is playing out. But there was a time, a few months into us living here, where I was walking down the path near the Singapore River, and there was a black guy, and he was with like two white friends, and I was listening to like an audio book at the time, and was walking by each other, and we were kind of like crossing paths on the path, and I don't know how this happened, but like all of a sudden there was a smile that creeped up on both of our faces, and as we walked right by each other, no words were said, none of us, we didn't lose a single stride, but our hands came up, grasped one another in a handshake, and had two pumps, let go, and then continued on. That was an incredible experience for me because it felt like to me that we were saying, I see you and I acknowledge you, and I know that's not a lot of us out here, but you are seen here. And it was just like this. It has never happened to me, and it hasn't happened since. But it was just this element of like, I really see and acknowledge you. And now I find myself in out here like, if I see a black person, like I actually like I take the time to acknowledge, and it's the head nods or whatever it is, and I can see myself. I'm like, I want to make sure I get into your your line of sight, or I'm not gonna. There are other times where I'm like, is this even appropriate? Like, does this person want to be acknowledged as a black person? I'm like, you know what? I'll let them have whether or not they want to be acknowledged, but I will acknowledge them. And that's been really interesting because this is coming from a person who didn't want to be seen as a black person for a very long time. Like what I don't want you to know, but I think it's in here is like I'm just learning how to be a black person now, and it's I don't know if that's the right way of saying it, but there's an element of it where I have a friend who was like, "Oh, you just turned black. Gotcha. Like you make sense now. you know, like you just turned black. This is new for you." Um, and so, and it is. It really is, and it's something that I've thought of a lot. I'm like, uh, you know, it would be a lot easier to go back to practicing not having to label. Be a lot easier to practice and not like just like shrugging off what's happening in the black community and being like, yeah, that's true. I'm sad, and like let it go because I'm the Yama. I'm gonna do my own thing. And I'm tired of easy from that perspective. Like I think it's important to me that I think part of the reason why I'm here in this with you right now is like it's important to me that all whatever success comes my way, whatever impact I have in the world, it is not done by being a good player in someone else's messed up system, right? It is done by me being me regardless of the system. and I want to make sure that I'm not leaving any of that behind as it goes on. And being here in Singapore, I think has been really like, it's been just like tremendous practice. Like it's a completely different experience here. It's like if I had to learn how to like discover me for me, not like, yeah, it's just like I'm in the absence of having the racial tensions and the racial stories, the stories related to race, like they're not here as it applies to black people. Um, at least black people from Western countries. I've heard that if I sounded African, it would be different, and that so I want to call that out. But from my experience here, I'm like I'm experiencing what it's like to not have to carry the burden of being black or black American with me every single day. I'm experiencing what it's like to just be. And there's a part of me that's like, oh, I want to feel it now that I'm aware of it, and I can, I don't want to just like leave it to the side. But I also recognize, like, and again, I say this, like, I have a ton of privilege. I'm an American living in Singapore who's taken several different vacations to all throughout Southeast Asia, and so on and so forth. Like I have a ton of privilege, and again, like this comes down to like a like I think it's important to just call out the truth. Like I like don't take away my power by saying I don't have privilege. I have privilege. I'm keeping my power on that. I will wield my privilege as much as I want to and how I choose to do it, but I will also be responsible with what that privilege is. I have the privilege of being in a position where I can take some time to just spend an hour and just say what's on my mind. And maybe some people will like it, maybe some people won't, but like it's a privilege for me to be able to even just choose whether or not I wanted to be a black man, right? So like I own my privilege. I got it, and like don't try and take it away from me. Um, yeah, I feel like I'm coming to a conclusion on this. This feels good here. I want to thank you for witnessing me. Although this was really, I'm not gonna lie, as I said, this was about me making sure that I was no longer behind hiding behind anything and allowing myself to be seen in this place that felt uncomfortable for me. Now I'm recognizing some of the things that I'm working through on a personal level is that I'm going to be the father of a black child, of a mixed child, as I continue to explore this here, I'm looking to see what are some of the distinctions that are there. Like, and a part of me is like, oh, I was fortunate that not fortunate, but like it was both my parents are from Ghana. Um, like it was pretty clear. I'm African American. It was like really clear. And I think about this here. I'm like, oh, I wonder what the skin tone of our children will be. Will they all have like the same skin tone? Will there be some that are white presenting? Will there be black presenting? Do we as a family consider like do we consider mixed throughout? Are they black? And it's these are all questions that Nicole and I are more than um, equipped to take on. So, but it is really interesting to be exploring my own blackness and taking on different labels associated with that and leaving different labels and trying, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's a weird thing that's going on in my head. I don't say it's weird, but it's there's something that's going on through my mind. But it's interesting to be in that space and also be bringing in someone who's actually going to have a different experience than both of us, because neither of us are mixed. Both of us grew up with parents of the same racial background, like, so like of the same race. So like it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be really interesting. But we're equipped. And I think part of this is like I want to make sure that I'm exploring this. I want to make sure that I'm calling this out. Part of me also just wants to. This is morbid, but I think it's true. Like, I've had some thoughts around like, okay, once I have a kid, do I have to make like a specific video around like if I get taken out by the police one day, like, do I want to have a message specific to that just to restore a level of trust uh, that and to help dissipate anger that's if that's the case, because I mean, it's not lost on me that it's like taking a gamble when you walk out, and it may not feel that way, but there's things that we do that I do to protect myself, and at the same time, I just don't know. I just don't know. So I think I'm gonna end this here. I am. I feel like I don't have to not have to not just pretend, but I don't have to like. I can feel myself being just a little bit lighter around this thing that I didn't want you to know about me. Like sometimes I'm angry, and this thing that I didn't want you to think about me, which is sometimes I'm angry. And as my friend Eddie clued me into, it's like there's a world of possibility once you're able to open up that spectrum. So I am actually actively looking to find out more about rage, find out more about fury, to feel that myself, and it's not something I need to use. Like what I know about is that it's not something that is going to be meaningful, or like my impact is not going to be really all that felt if I'm bringing rage and fury to just one person. It's not. It's just not. Like most people can't even handle me frustrated and angry. But I do really get excited about being able to use that toward a cause that I'm really passionate about, an injustice that really needs to be fought for, or a possibility that needs to be created and birthed in this world. And for that, like I'm like, if I don't have access to rage and fury as well, like I'm playing from a limited toolkit. So in order for me, I think this is why this video. Okay, I think this is why this video needed to come out, and why I needed to express this here, because it's like if I can't own the anger part of me, then I won't have any agency or ownership with some of what comes afterwards. So that's it. I'm feeling complete here. I'm feeling exposed. And at the same time, I'm like, this is exactly what needed to happen for today. So I'll end it here. If you have any comments for me, if you have anything out here, feel free to send a message. I'm still exploring this, but this is something that I needed for my process. Thanks. And know this here, as I shut this down, I really love you. Like, thank you very much. I really, really love you. Thank you for taking the time to watch this. Thank you for being with me here. I know you got my back, and I appreciate the witnessing. Hey, Oniyama here. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet, and then go ahead and leave one of your insights from today's video in the comments below. If you're looking to take this deeper, you can go and watch another video, or you can go to niyama.com/tribe to get exclusive invitation to our tribe member only events. I'll see you soon.